Hi guys, we are group 6 from Design System Thinking A, and today we're going to talk about Uber Eats, which is a delivery food apps, very popular. And today we're going to be answering the question, how did Uber Eats use design thinking to come up with their review and COVID-19 guideline features? And we are going to go through 5 stages: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test.
Let's start with empathize, which means that we must use anything we got to fully understand the problem. And in order to do this, the Uber staff conduct user interviews that consist of 7 participants from the age range of 22 to 26, and their professions are varied. And the one thing they have in common is that they have previous experience with many food delivery apps and websites. And they are asked many questions involving their experience while using the apps and the problems that they encounter. And here are some of the response. David said that Uber Eats doesn't have reviews, so I have to go on there and look up the restaurants and then come back to the app. While Mary said that I have to use Google because there aren't reviews on the app itself, so I tend to go on Google first and then the app. And Emma said that I think that reassuring the customer that the restaurant staff and delivery drivers are following safety guidelines would be nice. And summaries of these responses come up with a conclusion that the lack of reviews is responsible for the inconvenience of the users. And so reviews need to be added.
So the next step is define. The first thing that the staff need to consider in this step is the use of persona. The persona or buyer persona is a hypothetical role model. It presents the ideal customer portrait of the business. So the persona have the business shape the strategies for many activities from product development, marketing, sales to customer care, so that reflect different needs and pain points from the customer. So there are 4 elements in the process of operating a persona, which is short story, motivation, goal and needs, concern and frustration. About the short story, is an introduction briefly about the persona and the customer background. It covers living space of the customer, the jobs, their condition, and especially their information about their unique experience. About the motivation, it describes the motivation of using Uber Eats from the persona customer. It explains the reason why they choose Uber Eats, what makes the app so reliable to them. Next is goals and needs. It describes what customer wants and requires. For example, a customer wants to read the app reviews to make decisions on food faster, so the staff of the app can improve by developing a new review feature. If the customer wants to see the actual photos of their order, and the staff can improve by following their requirements, and like they will add more photos. The last thing is concern and frustration. It determines the pain point from the customer, so that the staff know about the weaknesses of the app through the customer frustration and dissatisfaction. For example, when the customer frustrated when they have to exit the app to use another platform to read the review or see the location, and the staff can improve by adding direct reviews and map feature in the app. And the second thing is challenge. It detects the difficulties occur in the process of interviewing and understanding the customer needs. So the main challenge here is that the staff need to ensure the consistency of the new improved feature that they need to add to the apps. So they need to determine the main point that they want to know about how they could improve before the conducting of the interview, so that they want to know the customer, like what they hope, what they require to improve the apps. And last thing is the pain point. So it's similar as the concern and frustration part that I mentioned before. So that they need to list out some main pain points that the participants brought up, like some things that they dissatisfied about.
So the next step is to ideate. So when it comes to ideate, questions must come out. So how can we change Uber Eats into a more transparent, trouble-free, and reliable application so that customers can make better informed decisions about their food? So let's break down these huge questions into several smaller ones, such as, is the food worth the price? Or what if they do not want to use other resources for review? Then they conducted a competitive research on other competitors and asking the questions, what are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? And what can they learn from them? After defining the problem and observing other rivals, where they came up with some ideas, the most promising ideas are to launch two new features. One is to make the reviews visible to customers, and two is to launch COVID-19 measures that Uber Eats require restaurant staff and delivery drivers to follow.
So the next stage is prototype. So complete the task scenarios below to test the clickable prototype. So I'm going to give two test scenarios, and then I'm going to validate prototype. But first, I'm going to present about sketching prototype, and then we have the next one is the high fidelity wireframes, and being given two scenarios. So imagine you're at the office and you're thinking salad, some fruits, you want to order healthy food, but without spending too much. Or the case number two is that you're so busy all day with your schedule and meetings and you want to order food for dinner. And so to validate the solutions, 5 people are tested with the same prompts, and the solutions are fascinating. The first one, task number 1. No, there are no user can find the cheapest option with the original design, while with the redesigned one, all of them can find the cheapest option. For task number 2, 2 over 5 can order in advance with the original design, while if we redesign it, all of them can order in advance.
So after that, they came to the testing part. They designed an usability testing. 5 participants between 18 and 28 participated to do the following task. First, they have to find more information about a restaurant called Lucia Restaurant. They have to find and read about what other customers have said about that particular restaurant. And they have to find and read about the COVID safety guideline measure that the restaurant and the delivery driver have to follow. So after the testing, they found out that overall, the prototype was a success, but more importantly, there is still room for improvement. So they used Affinity Mapped, a design thinking tool, to analyze and systemize the participants' feedback. As you can see here, this helped them categorize the feedback into 3 parts: success, confusion, and next step. Then from this chart, they came to define the most important change that need to be made. They need to include a filter pop-up with different options for review screens. They need to increase the size of safety guideline message and also include the word COVID-19 in the safety guideline message to grab the user attention more easily. And lastly, they need to add a review that shows that what it looked like when the user ordered multiple menus on the review screen. And so here is the final product with revision feature. So here you can see the COVID-19 guideline is emphasized more clearly. The review with many orders showed up, and also the filter is included. So that's how the Uber team used design thinking to come up with an extension to as a solution to the current app. That's it. Thank you for listening.